Hello and welcome. My name is BeBopAnime or Tyrone, and today we're taking a look at another anime and this anime review. Generally speaking, I try to keep myself almost almost on a line of where I know my familiarity with the end of the world genre, or just in general those type of anime and even then fantasy stuff. I know where there's actually genuinely good stuff, for example, within the fantasy realm, and that would be Berserk, for example. Very good anime. You go from there over to the end of the world type of stuff. The only one I can say that's relevant as of this moment, but not my complete favorite, is ReZero. Very good with its story-centric plot and some of the other stuff that really get interesting and you want to learn more about. No doubt about. But still, there's shows out there that try to fucking stray away from that completely, and I think that provide either a good performance for what they are, or they provide something that I generally feel is just slightly above average. But regardless of that, though, let's take a look at In Another World with my smartphone. So giving you guys a little synopsis of the plot. The whole plot revolves around basically our 15-year-old Toyo Mujiki, who accidentally gets killed by God. He actually gets struck by lightning by God and is basically resurrected into another world, but he is able to bring one item with him, and that is, of course, his smartphone, which gives the ability to work all fully and functionally throughout the world, and even then able to even surf the old web on his old world back in Tokyo and stuff like that. So regardless of that, though, the whole plot revolves around him actually gathering his whole, I guess, guild, if you will. Then eventually the guild turns into wives and stuff. Then from there's a bit of a subplot that gets introduced with the phrase, these mysterious crystalline beings that pretty much were really hard to kill or anything like that, and possibly can be a threat to humanity and stuff like that. So that gets introduced, but it doesn't get too fleshed out to a point where you just kind of fucking forget it once you hear about the fact that all these chicks in this that surround Toyo want to become his wives, and learning more about the wives towards the end of the show. So with that said, characters, I want to say that most of the characters provide somewhat of characterization in a point where I can say that it's genuinely sometimes interesting, but sometimes just kind of feels eh. And that really does go back and forth, because you get, for example, Toya, I actually feel is probably one of the most bare bones minuscule protagonists out there, because the fact that he provides little to nothing when it comes to even then actual emotional thought and overall plot centric stuff. I mean, you can argue and say the end of the show, but by the end of the show, it's the end of the show. It's about to end. There's no point of trying to bring out one point of the end of the show. It's like saying, okay, all right, the whole ride's gonna fucking suck until you get to the end, because that's when you're finally off off the ride. That's completely pointless. But you know what I mean. That's what I feel about the character himself. He's not very good in his all right, because even though he has some interesting quirks here and there, especially towards the end, like I said, it's not enough to keep the character himself overall, I guess, good, if you will. Moving on from there, you got the Silhouette sisters, Elsa and Lindsay. They both provide somewhat of a kind of tsundere type of feel. Light tsundere for, I think it's Lindsay, then Elsie's full-on tsundere when it comes to her archetype and her type of character that provides somewhat of a, again, they all become his wives, so they all provide somewhat of a romantic relationship. Lindsay's a bit more bold and more forthcoming, but that's all the way towards the end of the show, which it seems like this whole show itself, even though from episode 1 all the way to episode fucking 12 feels like they bring in all the stops and all the goodness at the end of the show when it comes to characters and revealing certain things and motives. Not only that, though, but just character development. It's like, why would you wait till the end? Why would you wait all the way till the end? I mean, we get it. We're getting hints here and there that these chicks like Toya for, actually love him and everything like that, and all this other shit. But it seems like they just want to kind of sprinkle it out and do a harem route, and it's kind of fucking ridiculous, to be honest, when you put it that way. There could have been a little bit done more, not only with characters and managing all of the chicks that this guy has and everything like that, but instead just gonna go for a different route. Moving on from that, you got Yaya and you got Yumi. And these two characters provide their own type of relationship with Toya. Yaya kind of seems very, very light and non-existent in a way, because I, at any time, didn't really believe that she even liked Toya. It just kind of happened because, like, oh, every other chick's doing it, I guess I gotta do it. So it's like, that's where that kind of comes in. Then you go from there to Yumi. And Yumi, in my opinion, is that she actually kind of gets a relationship built up with him, and although very light, I will admit, it's more than what every other chick can provide. I mean, besides the fact of the typical protagonist feel where, you know, oh yeah, I saved you a couple times, oh I love you now, you know, shit like that, you know, crap like that. But regardless of that though, Yumi seems like she has a bit more potential than every other character, not only because she's the first to become Toya's wives, but also some of the relationship that gets genuinely built between these two characters, and more or less Yumi actually understanding certain things about Toya and kind of giving them the more or less the good wife treatment. It makes me like that character a little bit more than the rest of the chicks, including even then Toya, for the development, and that's where I kind of fall into, and I'm like, okay, the rest of the chicks just feel like they're just kind of thrown in, but Yumi actually feels genuine. Then you go from there. There's some more characters that get introduced, like Lean and Kohaku, which both provide their own little insights and whatnot. Kohaku, in my opinion, is the most badass looking little tiger ever. I mean, he's pretty cool, and I actually don't mind him that much, and he's actually pretty funny. Oh well, he put into funny situations. Then you got Lean. She's genuinely that type of kind of science nuthead. Type of archetype that deep down, if there's a big boob chick in front of her, she's gonna grope her. So it's, you know, it's pretty imaginable to see what that archetype is and what that type of character is. So I'm not gonna kind of go further on that. It's really self-explanatory when it comes to that. Now moving on from that to the actual animation and sound. Animation, I will say, is startlingly really average. I can't say that it wasn't enjoyable. It was unwatchable. It was watchable and enjoyable, but it just kind of did the bare minimum of things, not only with character expressions, with actions, you know, with scenes where, you know, they get shy and all this other stuff. It felt like you kind of just laid back and did average. It did average everything for the animation, even for the show itself, being itself very average when it comes to kind of the whole end of the world type of plot. It doesn't go and strays into the whole, oh, we're gonna go defeat the Demon King type of, you know, scenario. No, it's just, it kind of lies into, we're gonna live our lives and occasionally do fucking quests for the guild and stuff. That's where it lies into, and the animation feels like it lies into that too, because it feels a bit lazy in a way. So I'm not sure whether or not I would say that it's kind of necessary to sit here and say the animation is bad, but it isn't bad at all. It's just, it's very, 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 very average. The same with sound. I felt like the only thing I found was the intro and outro being very, very, in my opinion, actually the best things. But afterwards, even then, the whole fucking OST, the original soundtrack, and what's happening and certain scenes playing out and scenarios playing out, it felt kind of you know, it just felt there. It worked for what it was trying to do, but it wasn't trying to do anything else or explosive or even then captivate me in the most entirely biggest and best way. So yeah, so overall verdict, I want to say I really do enjoy these type of shows because I understand what they're trying to do most of the time. The fact that they're trying to provide either a harem-esque scenario, a guy that meets girl in another world-esque scenario, a whole fucking this guy becomes an ultimate badass in the new world-esque scenario, or you know other etc scenarios that happen for another world type of anime. And this one obviously lies into the harem one, and they're at the end of the show itself, it hints at more wives to come and everything like that, so they're obviously kind of wanting or hinting that they want to do another season. And to me, to be honest, I want to say that I would be excited if they provide a lot more characterization, because I think that when it comes to harems, it's the characters that really carry the anime. It's not the fucking story. It's not everything else that about it. It's literally the characters. And if the characters aren't good enough, and which half of them aren't, it feels like it's pointless. It really is pointless, and that's where I kind of lie in between with this show. It feels like I want to enjoy it a lot further. It feels like I want to have a lot more to it, and even then kind of go further into it and enjoy it a little bit further, but there's just lackluster elements and lackluster beats here and there that just kind of feels it's pointless. And the harem aspect, again, there's good ways to do harems and there's bad ways to do harems. People have opinions and type of things. I actually think that the harem setup here is actually nice and actually is pretty good, but the execution with the characters and how they perform and how they genuinely show that they love the protagonist just feels kind of lackluster and tossed in. But with that said, though, kind of rounding up my thoughts and my overall, my overall thoughts and throwing it all into a bullshit number, I like to give In Another World with my smartphone a 6 out of 10 with a recommendation of genre Pacific. So if you really like genre Pacific, for example, if you like anime that are set into another world that has harem-esque elements, this is gonna be an anime I'd recommend to you guys out there. You very few people out there, this is a good anime for that aspect. Everything else, though, outside of that, it's a pretty fucking slightly above. Even then, I'm kind of favoring it just a tiny bit with a little bit above average. It would be a high 5, but I would instead just give it a 6 instead, just to kind of steadily down it. I genuinely want to say that this anime kind of provides mediocrity in almost every route, but not only that, though, provides some interesting elements here and there, but again, it kind of revolves around how you think of this type of genre. Do you like In Another World anime? Well, then you're probably going to like this, and you're probably going to think almost opposite what I think. But if you're a guy that actually likes and kind of critiques and understands what he's watching, I think you'll fall on the line of, yeah, it's kind of a little slightly above average. He doesn't provide anything new. The protagonist could be a little bit mediocre, and some of the other characters as well. And the only genuine character is Yumi, and then that's pretty light. You kind of get my idea. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoy. My name is BeBopAnime here, or Tyrone, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Kinky.